Right, good morning, welcome back. Okay, today, 200,000 subscribers. Now, I wanted to make a video today that was a little bit different. Firstly, to celebrate and say thank you for 200,000 subscribers on our account. That is incredible. Thank you so much to all of you for that. Every one of you that is subscribed. But if you're watching this a lot later, it may be higher, I'm sure. But at this date, today, at the time of recording this, we just rolled over 200K. And I thought it was prudent to do what some other channels do, and that is to make a unique video, something a little bit different, to celebrate, in our case, 200,000 subscribers. So what we're going to do today is something for the winter. It's September now at the time of recording this, and I wanted to record what I believe, certainly what I do, 5 things that you can do to your motorcycle coming into winter to prepare it for the months ahead. Winter is a dastardly time. It will do terrible things to your bike. It really will. It will wear things at a far higher rate. And things that are already a little warm, it can finish them off halfway through winter. And it's a dangerous time to ride. So it's always good to go into the winter dark months with a nice, healthy, safe motorcycle. So here it is today as a landmark video to celebrate 200K, 5 things you can do to your bike taking it into winter. Okay, first thing I like to consider is my tyres. 4 things. Have I got enough tread? Is the tread in good enough condition? Have I got any plugs in the tyre? And is it the right tyre in the first place? So what I mean by that is, well, tread depth is easy, just measure that, see if you've got enough. But the next thing, is it in good enough condition? You might have loads of tread, but if it's flattened off in the middle or on the front tyre, if it's cupping on the sides, you might want to consider replacing them because it's only going to get worse in the winter time, faster than it does in the summer. Also, have you got any plugs? If you're running a plug in your tyre, that's your choice. I make no comments on that. But if you do it and you have got a plug, consider whether you want to run that plug through the winter because it's more likely to leak when the tyre is freezing cold, rock hard and wet than it is in the summer when it's soft and sticky and dry. So seriously, if you've got any plugs, have a think about that. The next thing is it the right tyre in the first place? And that may seem odd, but on cars in somewhere like Canada, people run summer tyres and winter tyres. They change the tyres for the seasons. We don't really do it on bikes, but if you do ride all year round, why not? There's loads of options out there. Talk to a tyre professional about the tyres you've got and see if they can recommend something that might be better. And if you take it to the extreme example, look at, say, a Diablo Corsa type tyre for a track day where you've got no tread on the sides. That's really going to be pretty dangerous in the winter time when it's wet and you're trying to lean it over, seriously. And also you'll flatten it off in a moment because they're soft. So you might want to put that in the shed and save it for the spring and get a more winter appropriate tyre fitted. Again, talk to a tyre professional. They can tell you the array of options that are out there for you to fit to see you safely through the winter. So there's the 4 things to consider for yourself. Have you got enough tread? Is it evenly worn and safe and in nice condition? Have you got any plugs? Consider that. And is it the right tyre? Could you fit a better one and save your nice sticky tyre for the spring? Right, next thing, going into winter, chain and sprockets. First of all, an inspection to make sure it's okay and it's going to see you through to the spring. Get hold of the chain on the back of the sprocket and pull it off the sprocket. If you can poke a pencil in that gap, then your chain and sprockets is worn out. Check also if you haven't got any frozen links. So roll the chain round and look at all the links because they have to do this obviously as the chain goes round. But if one of them freezes in place because it's got rust in the pin, that's time to replace your chain and sprockets. Don't fool yourself by thinking you can get 2 pairs of pliers and move that around and make it move again. You can. You spray some stuff in it, yeah, it'll move again. Next week when it gets wet with rainwater, it will freeze again and again and again. So seriously, if you've got a frozen link or if it pulls too far off the back of the sprocket, it's time to consider changing to a new chain and sprocket set. Now after that, you've got a regime change to intensive care for maintenance and cleaning. In the summertime, I use a dry chain lube. In the winter, I use chain wax. I think we all know that, but also clean the chain wax off because once it gets all the grit from the road stuck to the chain wax, it turns into grinding paste and it will kill your chain and sprockets quicker. So every week or 2, whenever you need it, get your chain cleaner. You can use whatever you want, a dedicated chain cleaner like this, or you can use paraffin or kerosene or anything you like. Get that chain nice and clean and re-wax it. Or you could even fit a Scott oiler. Any form of chain oiling system that permanently oils the chain, set it up so it doesn't drip too much. You don't oil all up the back of your bike or on the road. And of course, even with a chain oiler, it will get grit on it. So still clean it as much as you need to. Make sure it's nice and clean and healthy and sees you through dark months into the spring without any problems. Well, the next thing I think is quite important is brake calipers and pads. Firstly, the pads, they need enough meat on them to get right through to the spring, but the calipers, they've got the summer's worth of brake dust in there, and the minute you start getting salt water thrust up inside that caliper, it's going to start combining and making a big old thick mess, and it's going to start binding the caliper itself. So start the season going into winter with brand new, fresh, clean brake calipers. Take them off, take the pads out, pump the pistons out a little bit till you see the shiny bit, and then clean off all the dirt, push them back in, put the pads back in, give them a clean up, or put new pads back in and then refit them to the bike. Put lots of anti-seize onto things so you can get them off again if you need to, and then it's time to adopt that intensive care routine. Every time you ride, rinse the calipers out. You get brine in there, salt water from the road. And as that salt water dries away, it leaves the salt crystals behind, they expand, simple chemistry, and they start binding your brakes up. We've all had that. Everyone's had binding brakes. It's just horrible and it's dangerous in winter. So make sure you wash the brakes out after every wet ride. And that regime, hopefully, will see you through to the spring without any problems. Right, the next thing, number 4, brake fluid. That must be healthy just as much as your brake calipers and pads. And in terms of brake fluid, healthy meaning not too much water content. Take a brake fluid tester pen going into the winter and test it. See what the summer has left you with. You might have a high water content just from the last 9 months like I did. As you saw in a recent video I did, it was off the scale. So it took me an hour, half a bottle of fluid, and I purged all my hydraulic fluids, clutch as well, and the system's working bang on now. It's very important not to have too much water content because it rusts and corrodes the internals, and that can write off things like master cylinders, which cost a fortune. And also with calipers, if the water content in there builds up too much, it can lead to brake fade, and that's all bad, especially in winter time when you need your brakes to be absolutely perfect. So seriously, brake fluid, check it with your brake fluid tester pen. If in doubt, change it out. Simple. Right, last one, number 5, battery. It's not necessarily a safety thing, but it's a convenience thing. Coming into winter, you want your bike to fire up and take you to work. You're not doing those weekend pleasure rides to build up the battery's power. You might have to be keeping it on an Optimate. It might be an elderly old battery that's been in there a long, long time. If that's the case, see if it needs replacing. Give it a voltage check. Make sure it's making plenty of voltage, 12.9 static, about 13.5 with the engine running, and then it's nice and healthy for the winter. And if you can, if necessary, if it is a bit elderly, replace it with something like a Motorbat that's got a higher cold cranking amps, so it will actually turn the engine over a bit faster. Because in the winter, freezing cold engines, they take a bit more beef to turn. They're just a bit stiffer, everything's a bit solid, the oil's really thick. So a higher CCA will keep it healthy, because on bikes like this, turning over too slow can cause problems with the sprag clutch. So it's important you turn it over nice and healthy. So check the battery, make sure it's okay. If you need to replace it, it's a worthy investment. You'll certainly agree with that at 6 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to go to work and you've got a flat battery. Okay, so there are 5 considerations that I make for my motorcycle going into the most difficult riding time of the year. You might do different things for your bike, so please share those things. If I haven't said it in my 5, please add it, because sharing all that stuff in the comments, we can all read it, we can all learn from it, and we can all be safer on the road in the most difficult riding time of the year. So look, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for 200,000 subscribers, an absolutely insane number, and we are proud and privileged to have your support. So thank you for watching, take it easy, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.